Look inside. Begin to see the patterns that shape your life. Go below the surface. Dive ever deeper. That's where the gold is. That's where the jewels are. That's where the freedom is. And this is a call in some ways to turn away from the superficial, from the surface life that has us all in its clutches. Everything is about the surface life. But without the depth, without the knowing, without the self-knowledge, without the self-awareness, we're like lopsided, top-heavy beings. And we see that in the world. We see ego fighting itself endlessly, personality. We see the results of inaccessible emotions. It's ironic, really, isn't it, in our culture? I'm talking about the Western culture here, really. We're in America, so I see it here, but I came from England and I saw it there. It's like, despite the fact there's so much access to wisdom, to teachings, to depth, to philosophy, to, all of these great spiritual, psychological, whatever, teachings. It's funny, isn't it? Because in many ways the predominant feature of society is stupidity and ignorance and projection and a certain violence, if not an actual violence of physical to physical, then certainly the violence of my belief against your belief, of pitting ourselves against the world, having righteous, not in a good way, beliefs carrying anger. All of this, is only really the result of our lack of wisdom as a culture, and yet it's all there for the taking. I just sort of, after a while of being on this journey, which is, 30 years or something, I find it mind-boggling in some ways how, once conditioning sets in a way, for most people, without some grace or without some opportunity or, without, and in many ways it's all there, but without that, what happens? People just become cartoon characters or cemented versions of themselves. Rigid, cynical, or just kind of regular, not really, embracing their depth. And so, this is not that. This is something different. This that I'm pointing to, and this that spirituality, depth spirituality, and a lot of depth psychology, of course. There's a lot of it around, but it does require a certain shift, a certain changing, because if you want truth, if you want peace, if you want wisdom, if you want a deeper love, you're not going to get it in the transactional world. It's just not going to be there, because everything is based on this kind of give and take, which is okay on one level, but it doesn't lead to an inner holism. So the only choice really is to go inside, go deeper inside, and deeper inside. You know, one of the things that I do in the work that I do with one-to-one people, with my one-to-one clients, is to look at patterns. Look at the patterns that shape your life, because they're there. You know, we go around and around and around, you know, and in some ways repeating things, repeating old belief systems, repeating patterns of behavior, repeating relationships. You know, and they all stem from a certain childhood kind of learning. And it's some of those patterns. Once you get to see, hold on a minute, I'm doing that again. I saw that in relationship. The relationship is a great one for this. I saw it in relationship. Hold on a minute, I'm just doing exactly the same thing with a different woman. That was like, is that about the woman or is that about me? Hold on a minute, I'm doing exactly the same thing with alcohol that I've been doing for, 20 years. Why am I doing that? One of the best things that ever happened to me, and it was very simple, was when I'd reached the end of the drinking line for myself. I didn't know it at the time, but I was kind of coerced and almost forced to go to a counsellor back in London in the 90s. And I went along kind of pretending that there was no problem. And, just in such denial, I would say. And the counsellor, who was very, very good, pointed out and said, why do you think you're drinking so much? What's going on here? And I was just like, I just like it. I just, it's a habit, and I found a lot of pleasure in it, and I enjoyed it. So she was, over a period of time, she managed to show me that I was drinking to avoid pain. And I was drinking because things happened back in my childhood and in my teenage years, and they were too painful. And as a result of that, I turned away from the pain, and I turned towards hedonism, and I turned towards this escaping. And that became a pattern of my life. That's what I mean. That's the only reason I'm saying this, is that she went, there's some of the pattern of your life right there. I was like, oh my God. And I think I was shocked. Because when you begin to see the patterning that goes on, the stuff that that has been modelled for you, by parents, particularly by parents, parents, God love them, they mess everybody up, they mess us up, and they were messed up themselves, and the whole chain of ancestry is so often messed up, and we come up in these lives, we're reared, we're conditioned, we're brought up in these lives, and they always seem to involve avoidance, and they always seem to involve kind of a transaction, and they always involve suppression of emotions, and they always involve a kind of strategizing our way through childhood in the best way that we can, because we have to. And then those strategies, those patterns, that very thing that I'm talking about, that's what part of what we carry on. They are some of the patterns that we weave. And then we forget that we never know that we've been the weaver of such patterns for good reason, for survival reason. And then by the time we're 40 years old, we're still playing out the pattern of those childhood strategies, and they end up being the prison. And then we seek escape or spirituality or healing or something like that in order to, to find kind of peace. But, when do we turn our attention to the pattern and say that pattern is no longer relevant and I've outlived that pattern? I don't need it anymore. I don't need that pattern anymore. I'm more mature now. I'm much more mature now than the pattern served me when I was young. But God knows, do I need to carry that pattern around for the rest of my life? Because that is what will happen. I've seen it in everybody. You see it in people. I just repeat the pattern over and over and over and over again. It becomes cemented in, become like concrete, yeah, and then we kind of die with that patterning intact, concrete cemented in. That's not what life is for a lot of people. I don't think it's what anybody who's looking around, sniffing around at this video wants something different. And so, it is important to go deeper. It is important in this superficial world of entertainment and politics and drama and war and insanity. Fucking insanity out there. Go below. Go deeper. Turn away for a while from that surface idiocy. Go deeper into yourself. Have the courage to do that. That's where the gold is. That's where the freedom is. It's where the juice is. Yes, you have to face it. Of course, we say this over and over again. Yes, you have to face it. But be like a diver. A diver, swim on the surface, afraid of what's in the deep. But what is in the deep is the gold, is the jewel, is the nugget, the beauty, the essence. That's where it is. And the going in, you don't have to have courage to go in. You have to have willingness to go in. It's like softly, softly, tenderly, intimately go in. By and by you get a little bit deeper, and there's the courage itself. It's not this kind of courage. It's this kind of courage. It's the courage of the softness of the warrior. Everybody has that potential. You have that potential. Go in, find the inner patterns that have carved the groove into your life. Be kind, be tender, be true, be honest. Be honest about it. There's a great call, great need for us to be honest with ourselves. And it's not modelled in the world. Where is it modelled? Most people are lying to themselves. Most people are wearing the mask. Don't be like that. Don't be like that. Take it off. Be vulnerable, be bold, be true. Carry your integrity. It doesn't matter. No one cares. Everybody cares about themselves. Only you. It's only up to you and me to care about ourselves. This is not dispassionate, this is compassionate that I'm talking about. This is not cold, this is warm. You take care of your inner world by going deeper and deeper and deeper, and then something happens, and then you can take this, and then it sort of naturally this kind of gushes out or emits the frequency that you resonate at, changes to a more harmonious, a more true. People say, oh, she's got depth. Oh, she's honest. Not on the level of personality, screw the personality, but on the level of, you know, something honest about this person. Maybe I can be honest too. And so it spreads. We begin by and by, you know, something changes, and we begin by and by to start living in an honest world instead of this deceitful, dishonest kind of crazy charade that goes on. I've said enough. Go deeper. Thanks.